So once you've prioritized your values, you have your needs listed, you've prioritized your values. Next, we move to family goals. So your family goals are informed by these first two things. So I've created just some categories where you can start listing some of your goals. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, and you are more than likely able to find other things to add to it. So feel free to do whatever feels right for your family. But these are the ones I have used. The main categories are relational goals, and then practical goals, financial goals, and academic goals. And then I've broken down the relational goals into four subcategories: the eternal relationships that we have, the relationships to self, the relationships with others, the relationship to the planet or the environment and wildlife. So as you think about those goals, I want to give you some examples, maybe some other things that will spark your ideas around coming up with your own family list. So in talking about relationship goals, when we're looking at eternal goals, that's typically when we deal with our spiritual practice or religious affiliations. And a lot of times those things influence those goals. But your family may have specific goals around how you all want to engage spirit. And so that's something that you want to clarify, to know, and to prioritize in your family. Relationship to self goals. Those goals are going to look like the caring. So, self care, your self awareness, your self acceptance, your self control, helping your children develop those same sets of practices. So, you want to do things that you can model for your children. So, your relationship with yourself helps your child and children set up their relationships with themselves. I'm sure a lot of us have probably seen the meme that says, yourself, the way you speak to your children becomes their self-talk. And so those are ways that we can have a goal of being positive, but if we're not practicing that for ourselves, it's hard for that to transfer to our children. And so we want to be aware of that. With relationship to others, of course, that's your family and then extended family and friends and neighbors and all the way out to the greater community. How do you want to interact? Maybe those goals center around communication. I saw some of the values about being honest and being compassionate. That's definitely ways to practice come in with being with other people. So you definitely want to have goals around that when you're thinking about other people. And finally, under that subcategory, the relationship to the world, or people may say the planet or the environment. There are lots of ways we show up, and sometimes the ways we live may not be as sustainable as our values may say. So you want to get in alignment. Some guiding questions to help you with figuring out what your goals may be in that category may be: how do we care for the earth? How do we dispose of waste and excess? Is it sustainable? How is our lifestyle impacting not the environment, the wildlife? Are we clearing too many things out? We may want a garden here, but is this the best place to put our garden? Are we going to displace some natural wildlife that we actually need to have thriving in our environments? So you want to be thoughtful in those ways too. The next heading was practical goals, and many of us already know those as they are typically life skills. And so practical goals may be exercising weekly or joining a sports team and being part of a team. They may have to do with cooking. You may want everyone in your house to have the goal of personal hygiene and care. That's important. Cleaning up around the house, picking up after oneself. Those are things that fall under practical goals. You may have a goal that says, everyone that in the house is going to learn how to do each of the chores thoroughly so that when it's their turn, they can do it without supervision. And that may speak to your value of independence or self-starter or self-motivation. So these goals definitely can tie back into your values. The next one is financial goals. These goals can be definitely individual or as a family. So some examples of those may be learning to write out a budget and stick to it. Maybe you have a child that wants to save up their money for something special. Maybe it's a computer, or maybe it's a pet, or maybe it's a class they want to take that's above and beyond what you've budgeted for classes. Maybe your family has gotten with other families and you're sharing a larger family goal of, we want to go in and purchase land together. So these are financial goals that your family may have. And you want to identify those things so you know what you're working towards. Last but not least are academic goals. And these definitely fall under, for those of us who are unschooling or homeschooling, you have goals around how you want your children to learn. They have goals too. This is definitely a time you want to rope them in to find out, what are the things you want to learn about? What are the things you want to grow in? What things do you want to learn? What Maybe it's a career choice they want to take. Maybe they want to become a dentist. And so you already know that's going to be a lot of years of schooling. And so maybe one of your goals is centered around doing well in academics so that you can qualify for scholarships. And so that would be an academic goal. It may be that you have a child in middle school or high school that has a requirement of taking a foreign language. But instead of just leaving it on that one child, maybe your family takes that goal on and says, we're going to learn Spanish fluently as a family, as opposed to just one child figuring out on their own. There's a lot of ways you can do these, hold these goals and do it with your family. So the more engagement you can have, um, with your children, because this affects them directly too. A lot of times it's easy for us who like to be in control or like to manage to hold everything, but we don't have to. The wonderful thing is we can share this load. Part of this time of COVID and being with our families, if you're so blessed to be with them at this time, is that you get to pour into them. You get to observe. You get to have conversations that school sometimes interrupts. Life sometimes interrupts those conversations. And so don't shy away from this. This feels like a lot of work. It may seem like a lot of work because it is. But this is the important work. This is the work that is going to help you do a lot of things. While for this particular conversation, it's going to help us find the communities we're looking for, it's actually going to help you figure out, what curriculum do I need? If you already know your needs, your values, and your goals, it will steer you clear of all the choices that are out there. Same thing about resources, same thing about classes. Right now, there are lots of people that are offering things to homeschoolers and unschoolers and other people just at home, just because we're all a captive audience at home. And it's easy to click, oh, I'm going to join this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And you'll find out, if you look back, your schedule is jam packed full of things, where now, if you know what the things are that are important to your family, it's easy to say no, or no thank you.